Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, the founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. And I want to welcome you to my presentation this morning. It's entitled Knowing What to Do. I recently had a conversation with a fairly new client, and we discussed their cost per hundredweight. And I thought it was an interesting point when I highlighted the items that I thought they needed to improve on. They basically came back to me and they said, John, we know what to do. We just don't know how to do it. And I thought, well, that's an interesting perspective. So I explained to them, as I have in other videos previously, a concept that Dan Sullivan, the strategic coach, came up with. And it goes something like this. I suggested to them, and this is true on any expense or revenue or expense item, if we measure it, we can understand it. We understand it, we can control it. And once you can control it, you can improve it. So, could we fix this type of thing? Yes, but I got to tell you, it doesn't happen overnight. I recently had another client who we determined over the last 2 years, we have decreased their operating expense by about $2.45 per hundredweight. And for those of you that are Holstein guys out there going, oh my gosh, how is that possible? It was a Jersey operation, so it's still $2.45 a hundredweight is a big drop on a per hundredweight basis. But I will add to that it's a long process. But there's a motivational speaker who I really enjoy listening to named Les Brown. And he said, wherever you are in life, you made an appointment to be there. Now, the first time I heard that, I was a little bit offended. I thought, well, that's not true. I didn't make an appointment to be here. I want to be somewhere else. I want to be doing bigger things. But the reality is he's right. Wherever we are in life, we made an appointment to be there. And the way we made an appointment was by the decisions we made. So I thought, I got to thinking a little bit more about this, and I heard a really great presentation by another motivational speaker and author, Brendon Burchard, who described when you're faced with that question of who am I to deserve this? Who am I to make this improvement? Who am I to make these great strides? He makes 4 points in his presentation that I thought were worth sharing with you. Instead of saying, why do I deserve it? And then saying, oh, gee, I don't really. No, instead of that, let's take what is often a bigger problem, and that leads to his 4 points. The first of which is, when you find yourself saying, who am I to deserve this? Most psychologists, for example, and Brendon is not a psychologist, but most psychologists would say, you need to erase that from your mind. You need to do away with that. Brendon says, no, don't ignore that message, because it's a message. It's a wake-up call for you. Instead, come out and say, wait a minute. Ask yourself, what do I need to learn? What do I need to change? Who do I need to talk to? As I suggested in my prior video, who do I need to talk to get better in this area? And point number two from Brendon's presentation, when you find yourself saying, who am I to deserve this? It can serve as a cue to develop more self-confidence, which goes along with building a plan. It's very correlated to that. So he calls it a learning plan. Do you have a learning plan in your business? In other words, do you need to get a mentor? Now, it could be me, it could be some other professional that you need to work with closely, and that primarily depends on what you need. If you need something on the feed area, that's not my area of expertise, but I could certainly put you in touch with some people that can help you there. So, do you have a learning plan in place? And if not, you need to develop one. We all do. None of us are immune to this. Business is tougher today than it's ever been. There's so much information moving so quickly that you really need to hone in on these details. And you know what? I'm not above getting help either. I like to think I'm an expert in my area. Pardon me. But the most important thing to remember is that even I need help in certain areas. So, point number 3 in Brendon's presentation, which I thought was really good, who am I to question whether I deserve this or not? Who am I to deserve this? Well, it can be a trigger for congruence. I think this is one of the most important of his 4 points. If it's a trigger for congruence, you have to stop and ask yourself, and I've done this to myself, are your actions congruent with the desired plans? Let me give you an example. I want to decrease my cost per hundredweight for supplies, but I've seen this with some people, and I have to ask the question as a follow-up. Did you actually try? Did you talk to some of your vendors about the cost of their product or how much of it you're using? Do you need that much? These are tough conversations to have, but you can't help them. You can't help these vendors stay in business if you're gone. And you need to have these tough conversations. And most of your vendors value your business, I'm sure. If they don't, you should find a different one anyway. And I don't want to sound flippant about it, but have these conversations with vendors or your other suppliers. Point number 4, you should never compare yourself to others. Now, this is like blasphemy on the financial side of the dairy business, and let me explain why. There is certainly a lot of value to looking at industry comparisons. How are you doing on labor costs? How are you doing on feed costs compared to the rest of the industry? But I would suggest that one step beyond that, it's even better to compare against yourself. You're either getting better or you're getting worse in certain areas of your business. And you're probably never going to be exactly the same year to year. So I'll give you a good example. I was talking to some bankers several years ago, and they pointed out to this client who milked 450 cows that his labor cost was so much higher than the industry. Well, I thought to myself, okay, folks, let's step back and look at this. Most of their clients had 1,500 to 3,500 cows, were milking in fancy new facilities. They were fairly new to the dairy industry as a lender. And what I thought was ironic was this gentleman was milking 450 cows in an older facility that his family had owned for 2 generations. I guess what? The efficiencies of that were far less than the guy milking 3,500 cows in a rotary carousel type milk barn. And so that's not even a fair comparison. So I think it's important that we step back from the situation, but it is a positive starting point. And that's all it is a starting point. Let's get beneath the surface and realize that this is an older facility. We're not going to get the labor efficiencies or the low labor cost per hundredweight that somebody with a brand new carousel type milking facility is going to get. So we have to do a reality check. That's a tough comparison, but that's a good reason, a substantiation for what Brendan says, never compare yourself with others. Compare yourself with how you did the last 3 years and plan for going forward. How can we get those costs down? How can we boost efficiencies in your operation? Again, going back to the concept I shared with you previously, if we measure it, we can understand it. If we understand something, whether it's a cost or revenue item, we can control it. And once you can control it, you can improve it, and you too could reduce, maybe not by $2.45 per hundredweight, but you could reduce your costs and become ever more efficient. So with that in mind, I want to introduce you to what I call the Success Strategies Business Navigator program. This is a new online program that we'll be offering quarterly, where you'll be able to learn new business concepts in the areas of marketing, finance, business management, employee management, all different types of things like that. It's an opportunity to learn new concepts. You can discuss challenges that you're having in your business with other colleagues that are in the program. The nice thing is you can do it from the comfort of your office or your home. There won't be any travel involved because it's basically an online program that we're offering. And it's a quarterly program, so it won't be like every week we're going to give you homework to do and that type of thing. But in the areas of marketing, finance, business management, I think you could really benefit from this. And as I've explained before, the cost of this program will be relatively low, simply because I would estimate that if you have one 85-pound cow, her monthly milk production will pay for it for a year. And so I would challenge you to go take a look at the Success Strategies Business Navigator program. It should be on our website at this point. Check it out. We will be offering some free budgeting, some monthly videos, and much, much more. So I would encourage you to be there. join us. I would look forward to your participation. And again, I'm John Ellsworth with Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. And I thank you for tuning in today. Thank you very much.